Hey guys, welcome to the Go Get Her podcast. I'm your host, London Britt. We have a very special guest with us today. So excited. This is like so surreal for me because I've known her for years. Like, we literally went to middle school together, and it's like just to see the woman that she's become today. I'm just so excited to have her with us here today, guys. But we have Ashley Britton with us today. She's a powerhouse, okay? Nonetheless, she's a powerhouse. She's beautiful inside and out. She exudes beauty, light, and I just can't wait for her to share her light with us on this platform today. But I'm gonna let her take the floor. She wears many hats, first of all. So
That's why when you told me, like when we spoke previously about introduce, I'm like, man, which hat am I going to say? So I'm happy you introduced the many hats because there's a whole bunch of them.
she wears many hats, but that's just the grace that God has given her. She has many talents. She I'm gonna let her do her thing. I'm gonna let her introduce her. But Beauty, go ahead and tell the world who you are, what you do, and all those good things.
All right, I'm excited about this because there's a lot of things that have shifted and changed in my life as of the last month. So it's a beautiful thing that I'm actually being able to discuss this first on your podcast, Britt, London. So this is going to be really, really amazing. So again, I am Ashley Britton, and I am a serial entrepreneur, spiritual leader in the Church of God, wearing many, many different hats. And one of the hats I would definitely say continues to be evident in all of the things is that I'm a girl's girl, right? I am somebody that is literally, I believe a part of my call into the earth was to be able to empower, uplift, and to really be able to help other women and other people generally to be able to go to the next level in their life. So, as of recently, I am now a high level leadership coach, right? Where I assist leaders, whether they're in CEO positions, director positions, or maybe even someone who is an emerging leader, right? I have been able to walk with them hand in hand to be able to get them to that next promotion. I had a conversation with someone about 2 weeks ago in regards to what promotion looks like, whether in a job circuit or whether just in life. We're always just aspiring to get to the next thing. And the beautiful thing that I really believe that God has given me the ability to do is speak to people where they are and being able to pull them up higher so that they can get to that next promotion in Him. So that's something that I have had the beautiful opportunity, especially the journey that I've gone on personally with God, being able to understand who I am, going through the ups and downs, the uglies, the real uglies, and maybe even the most beautiful parts of it. Either way, all of it is the part of the same journey that I've had an opportunity to go on. And I really believe that God has placed me in the earth and given me the assignment right now to be able to take people through that same exact journey and give them steps and strategies and just be an ear for them to be able to speak to. And with that, I have a real estate company called Legacy Property Partners. That's something that me and my husband has founded, which has allowed us to be able to enter into the new beautiful world of real estate, to be able to understand what a net worth is and understanding that real estate is a huge part of that net worth and being able to have assets and all of those beautiful things. Like my husband and I have been launched into this beautiful arena and really set up a legacy for our children because Legacy Property Partners is the name of the organization, but it takes on God's legacy and being able to then pass that on to my next generation, my babies that will come next. And with that, I am a leader in the Church of God, right? I am an elder. I am a minister of the gospel. I'm an evangelist, being able to leverage all that God has given me also to impact the Church of God for forward progression. So ultimately, I think I gave y'all a rundown of every single one of kind of all of the hats that I wear. And that's pretty much what I do. I find my hand to anything and everything to be able to allow God to use me to be able to maximize its full potential. Someone said to me today, like, Ashley, you are a trailblazer. And I'm like, really? I never really considered myself a trailblazer. But when I look over everything, like God has really placed me in a place to trail a blaze so that there is a generation of people, a generation of women comes behind me to know that it's possible and you can do it.
Yes, I love that. And I definitely think you broke it down so well with all the hats that you wear for sure. And it's beautiful to see. And it goes with the topic that we're talking about today about peace, because you couldn't have come to this place without obtaining peace, right? because you can't, well, I'm not going to say you can't, because like you say, you help people from where they are. So God put it in you from where you were to
Mm-hmm.
inspire other women, encourage other women to open up these businesses, to be your own boss. He helped you from where you are, and now look at who you are today. But you
Mm-hmm.
need to go through different phases in life, as we all do. You know,
Right.
trying to do things your own way, trying to find happiness your own way, peace your own way. God, no, I know you said this way, but I'm gonna do it this way because I know how this is gonna happen if I do it this way. But your way is probably better, you know? So I think it ties into everything that we're talking about. Like, what is peace? What does peace look like for Ashley? What does peace mean to Ashley? You know, because you couldn't have gotten to this place without finding peace.
You want to know what's so funny about that? Even on my journey, I feel like peace is something that is continuously unveiled to
Yeah.
us in different stages of our lives, right? And what peace meant to Ashley prior to the pandemic is not what peace looks like for Ashley now. So being able to recognize that my peace is not rooted in my abilities, not my gifts, not my talents, not the things that I say, but it's rooted in God and God alone because he is peace. Being able to really pursue God, period, and then recognizing from my pursuit of him is when I really, really come into agreement with his will for my life. So when you say, what did peace look like for me? I'm looking back, I'm like, man, I don't feel like I had peace on my journey. This journey was hectic, chaotic. My mind was a little ate up sometimes. I was emotionally unstable some other times. It was a crazy journey. But the beautiful thing that I recognize is that there was always a point in time, even when my mind was not okay, even when I was emotionally unstable, there was always this peace where this point where I was able to focus in and recognize that, yes, all of this stuff is going on in my life, but God is still good. And when I recognize him as good, I recognize that there is a peace that comes to me because his goodness surpasses all understanding, right? So I recognize that when I pursued him, I began to feel this overwhelming silence and this beautiful warmth and it's like God is in everything. And when I recognize that his will prevails over everything that I'm going through, that's when I'm able to have peace, because things may be looking crazy all around me, but I can still have peace in the midst of it because I focus on him. When you focus on him, he's able to really relax you and cause you to come to a place of contentment in him. I really believe contentment and peace go hand in hand, because when I'm discontent, hello, it's causing me to be all over the place,
Oh,
right? So I recognize that in my most unstable places and seasons, it's not until I focused upward and say, okay, God, I obviously don't got nothing in me to change nothing. And only you got the blueprint, because I tried to do this on my own. And it had me going out here just living like a renegade and just sitting here trying to create. I went on this crazy shutdown creatively also. Like I feel like I didn't understand creativity because of the shutdown that I went on. And I was trying to create and I was trying to build and it was all failing. And I recognized that was because I was trying to do it in my own strength and in
yeah.
my own power. And it wasn't until I plugged back into him when I recognized that things began to realign themselves. Things might have still been crazy, but because my mind was focused on him, it was like, okay, this might be crazy, but you're still God and
Yes.
you're still good and
Yeah.
you still have reigns over all of this. So,
Yeah, that is so true. I love how you broke that down, because
mhm,
even in this moment right now, my son is
mhm,
feeling well.
mhm,
I'm like, oh my God, panicking. Ashley, we have to cancel. We have to reschedule. We can't. Panicking. I said, God, I know you're in control. I know
mhm,
it's already healed.
mhm,
Me and Ashley are gonna do this because the enemy will try to distract you any way he can. He doesn't want us to come on here and talk and
mhm.
help people. He doesn't want us to do that. So any kind of way he can
Yeah,
strings to get me out of my mind and
right.
panicking and having anxiety, he will do it. I say, you know what?
Yeah,
We're not doing that. Me and
yeah,
Ashley do this episode. My son is healed. He is gonna be fine. Yes, you're gonna get him checked out, but he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be good. And I keep
yeah.
a place of stillness and calmness. I communicated with you so you know what's going on and where I'm at.
Mhm.
But I said, no, I'm good. I'm good. He will really try it. Like he will really try it. But like you said, you look upwards and you focus on God and you will come to a place of peace, even if it doesn't look like what you're used to.
Yeah, and it's funny because the definition of peace, when you just go on Google and you ask Google, what's the definition of peace, right? And it says freedom from disturbance. Freedom from disturbance. So it's just like something in me has to be so rooted that it doesn't matter if this stuff is going on. It goes based off of what you also said about all this stuff that's going on with your son and things of that nature. But you will not be disrupted or disturbed because you are solid in the God that you serve. And I think that that's something that's really important to note, because just because things around me is going crazy, that does not mean that there is an absence of freedom in the midst of the turbulence, you know? So recognizing that life might take you on this crazy roller coaster, but I'm unfazed because I know who I serve. Like I'm unfazed. It's like you go on a roller coaster ride, and you know how those crazy people. Well, I don't know if you crazy, Brittany, because there's people who sit on the front row. You know, and it just not me. I'll get on a ride, but on all the way in the middle because I feel like the middle is the most safest. It's all the same technically.
Definitely front row.
But there's sometimes when you see these videos on TikTok and things of that nature where there are people who are unfazed by the roller coaster. And that's how God wants us to be, unfazed, because we know that He has us in His hand. So, in the midst of all of these ups and downs and lefts and rights, and it seems like this roller coaster seems like it doesn't have an end point, but I'm undisturbed because I know who I serve, and I know who has my back and my left and my right and my forward.
He
You
don't
know,
play about us.
He don't play.
About us.
He don't
He
play.
does not play, girl, like at all. At all.
Mm-hmm.
So unfazed. I love that. That
Like
unfazed.
I'm trying to be like the people who get on the roller coaster and is just sitting there chilling. You seen that? I don't know if you've seen that TikTok video. He was just chilling. The guy was
Yeah,
just
I
chilling.
see that.
Everybody around him was screaming because they were, even though they were like they wanted to get on the ride enough to take the ride, you know. But he was unfazed around everybody screaming and a chaotic situation. But that's also us. That's the place that God really wants us to be. That's what peace is. In the midst of this crazy ride, noise on the left, noise on the right, you know, but there is this freedom that I have on the inside of me because I know who has me in the palm of their hand. Like I'm not fazed by the chaos. The chaos needs to recognize who I am in the midst of it because it has to stop.
And that will start, it will look, it won't look normal to people when you're
It
unfazed,
won't.
but it will start something because they will say, well, if Ashley's not unfazed and all of this is going on around her, maybe I need to figure out what she's doing to get to that place because I got a lot going on around me and I want to look like that.
I want to look like that. And oh, that's so beautiful because even us recognizing that peace is freedom undisturbed, right? We are ambassadors in that moment and we are testifying, even in us not being phased. And it teaches everybody around us, like, hey, yes, you might be going through it right now, but look at me and look at what I found to be solid in my life, you know? So we need to recognize sometimes that we are actually the testimony in the world to other people on how to respond when things are crazy around us.
Yes, that's so good. I love this. Oh, we didn't even get into the
We
questions
didn't
yet.
get into it.
I love it. So, well, you kind of already, I'll still ask it, but what does peace mean to you? What does the word
Mhm.
peace mean to you? You broke it down with the actual Google definition, but what
Mhm.
does peace mean to Ashley?
Yeah, I kind of think now talking it through, I feel like now having a different perspective that peace to me is like that guy on the roller coaster sitting there unfazed in the midst of a whole crazy chaotic situation. And the crazy thing is the way I would have responded in the past would not have been that guy on the roller coaster. I would be screaming to the top of my lungs like everybody else in a chaotic situation because I didn't know how to handle it. But there is this beautiful opportunity that we get to have with God when we begin to really search what peace actually means for us. Because peace, it'll show up different for other people.
Yeah.
Like it will show up very differently, you know? So it's like, so for example, right? I back during the pandemic, I lost my job, right? And we lost like a heavy hitter in our, you know, in our finances. And there was this point I'm like, man, I can't sew, I can't do anything, you know. And I was crying and everything because I'm just like, this is kind of crazy. And it's COVID out here in these streets. It's kind of crazy, you know, and it rocked me a bit until I remembered. Like sometimes our memory will cause peace to come over us when we remember what God did in the past seasons, you know, and it keeps us rooted and grounded, you know. So it's not saying that you won't panic a little bit. You might panic. I panicked, y'all. I
Panic.
panicked, but I remembered. And when I remember, there is just this overwhelming, and I hate to say peace to describe peace, but you know, when you are just so solid and it's just like, what am I crying for?
Mhm.
What am I complaining for? God did this for me before. So for me, it's a memory that always course corrects me to the right spot, you know? So I would say that.
I love that. That is so true. When I get in those moments and I'm like, I've been through worse. I've been through worse. And God,
I've been through worse.
you showed up and showed out. I will be good. Like, I will be okay.
Yes.
Calm down, relax, because fear starts to trickle in. Like with you, you lost your job. You could have been like, okay, how am I going to pay the bills? How are we going to pay the. Asking all these questions. Asking all these questions. Like, that's big. Losing your. That's not just like, oh, this is not going to work out. Okay. No, I lost my job. How I have my income coming in, how I handle everything. That's big. So I can only imagine how that shook you up a little bit, right? But you said, you know what?
After a while, it did.
Yeah, yeah. But you came to a place where
Hmm. I remember.
what you did with X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
Remember what you did when I was in this place before.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be good.
I'm gonna be good. It is really reaffirming based off of the truth of who God is, you
Yeah,
know. And it's just like, no, okay, girl, this is not a fake it till you make it because it's something that He's done already. So I don't gotta fake this because this is His truth. I don't gotta fake anything that's His truth, you
mhm.
know. So really recognizing that my memory really course corrected me
It's
quite a time.
only a faith it till you make it.
Yes, it's a faith it because regardless of the fact, like I believe the God that I serve, and I believe every single one of his promises because they're yes and amen for my life. And I know that if he did it before, and if he said he was going to do it, he's going to come through, period. That's
Absolutely.
where I have to get, that's where I have to get like, this is a period point blank. Like he's going to do it because I am his daughter. He's not going to just have me out here just out here look like no, he's not gonna just have me out here looking crazy. Like, no, yes, there may be something that he wants me to learn in the midst of it, but ultimately he's still gonna get the glory. And I know for a fact that is a win at the end of it as a whole.
Yes, I love that. And I think sometimes we focus on so much on what we're losing and we don't see it as a gain.
Yes.
Because who knows if you didn't lose your job, look at all the businesses that you have under your belt now.
You want to know what's so funny? Because I lost that job during the pandemic. I got this next job that actually let me go, and I was really sad because I loved it there.
Yeah.
I loved it there. I was making six figures. I just completely loved it. I loved what I did. It was women's empowerment work. It was amazing. And then the company went down. They had a downward spiral. And reminded me, He said, I told you the last time that you would establish businesses, that you would create something that you have never seen, nor has your family. So if I told you this before, yes, I did give you this job to be able to increase your influence.
Mhm.
And God reminded me that, yes, I gave you this next position to be able to teach you for where you're really going next.
Yeah.
Like that job really equipped me and put me in rooms. Like I sat in a session with Michelle Obama. Like I sat in a session with Melinda Gates. Like I had access to all of these women of influence. And I was able to glean from them in different perspectives because honestly, without the role that I just got let go of maybe about 8 months ago, I would not be where I am today at all. I would not understand influence. I would not understand empowerment, and I wouldn't sit in it so solid. I was prepared. I was trained. I was given access to, but even now, it's just like all of those connections that I made, all of those connections are coming back and it's giving me the opportunity to speak at colleges. I'm speaking at chief revenue officer conferences next month. Like it's giving me an open door because I was prepared before. And he said, just because you lost this job does not mean the door is closed. You learned everything you needed to because where I'm taking you to next, you need everything that you learned in the
He
previous
had
week.
you there for a reason.
He
He
had me there for a reason.
and he knew that because you loved it so much, you wouldn't have left. So you had to do it.
I'm telling you, if it were up to me, I probably would have still been there. I'm telling you, I would have still been there. And I would not be walking into speaking at these corporate conferences. I would not be a high level leadership coach. I would not have ever called myself that because I didn't believe that for myself at all. Like I'm telling you, like without that role, God had to remove me. He's saying, daughter, I need to, they fired you, yes, but all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. Like that's what his word says. So I'm working it out together for your good because of what's coming next. You needed that, but I couldn't have you bound to that because if you were bound to that, you would not be walking into anything that you're walking into now.
Yes, he's so good.
It's
He's
so good. I was sad. I cried when they fired me. When the company they let go 70% of their organization, I
Mhm.
cried. I was sad because good insurance, good pay. I worked from home. I didn't have to do nothing. I just had to wake up out the bed, brush my teeth, wash my face, do all the things, and then sit back in the bed on my laptop. But he was just like, "You were too comfortable, daughter. Now it's time for more."
More. I was just gonna say that. He's like, no, more. Yeah, this is
Mhm.
good. You love this, but more. And you
More.
love it even more.
And I will definitely say that not the most of me wasn't coming out there.
Yeah.
Like just a portion of me was being used. But now I see my character being stretched and the capacity increasing, like emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and just how I show up as a woman of God, as a wife. Like, had I still been there, I would have been distracted. And even those parts of me would have gone neglected. So now it's time to really course corrected me again and changed the whole thing up on me.
Yeah, I love that, Ashley. I really do. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So happy for you because literally just seeing you do your thing when we got reconnected and seeing you on Instagram, I'm like, yo, like
Because
I'm
this was the Ashley that you knew back in the day.
yeah, like I'm so proud of her. Like not even knowing the full details of everything you're doing, but just seeing your light shine. I'm just like, yo, I'm really proud of her. I really want to like sit and talk with her on a podcast and just have her show people that it is possible.
It's possible. You want to know what's crazy? Like when I look over my journey, right, I recognize that when I look at even the Ashley that when we met in middle school
Yeah.
to maybe 2 years after college, I recognize that I didn't believe for myself and where I am today. I didn't think I could do this stuff.
Yeah.
I
Same.
thought I was completely incapable of doing anything. I did not have any confidence. I was completely afraid. I believed the narratives that people told me about me. I believed the narratives that told me about me, which are rehearsed lines from a
Yeah.
ghost from the past.
Yeah.
And I wish sometimes I'm like, okay, if I go back and tell Ashley anything, it would be like, Ashley, it's gonna work out for your favor. Stay the course.
Yeah.
I would have told myself be confident earlier,
Yeah.
and like really be confident who you are.
And he got you to a place of who you know who you are now, so you can help other women find out
You
who.
know, so funny. Like I feel like what we I see about myself today is something that is funny because even my apostle preached about it today in regards to this is a leap year, right?
Yeah.
And how like God has us in a position that this year is the leap year for many people, where they're leaping fully into everything that God has for their lives. In the last leap year was 2020, right? And everything that we in 2020 was the year that COVID came into play. Everybody lost a lot of stuff during that time. And I really reflected. I'm like, no, this is really the year where I'm finally stepping into the fullness, because last 3 years were not good years at all. But I thank God for literally saying that you're leaping into everything. You're leaping into your full identity. You're leaping into everything I told you, money, financially, like you're leaping into all of it. This year, that is for you. So I want to tell people who are even looking at this podcast, listening to this podcast, that this is the year where all of that is possible, where everything over the last couple of years, that stuff, yes, it happened, but there is more for you. You do not have to stay stuck in what happened, but recognize that you can make a decision to get up and make a different turn a different direction, and recognize that the path before you has everything that you need on if you stay the course, and you don't have to look back saying this is what happened. Like, no, thank God for what happened, but now I'm literally picking myself up to go towards everything that he has in store for me in front of me.
It's so good though. Yeah, this is leap year, not I'm walking in kind of looking for, no,
I'm leaping.
leaping. I love
Like,
that.
when you leap, there is a push.
Yes,
You have to literally like you have to push your whole body into it, because you know that where you need to go, it's
yes.
not gonna just go by you walking
Yes.
or just jumping in place. Like, no, this is saying I'm telling my body to
Yes.
move. Like, I'm telling my mind
All the
to
dead,
move.
all of it, picking it all up, and we're leaping into all that God has for me.
Leaping into all that God has for us and leaping out of everything that held us up in the past.
Leaping.
Like, whatever that stuff was, I'm leaping out of it. I'm taking right now's decision. I'm making a decision right now to leap out of the things and leap into the promises of God. I'm leaping into that thing full force. It requires a level of energy for you to jump and leap out of a thing. Like, this is an aggressive thing. Like, I'm leaping. I'm taking myself up. I'm not picking up no bat. I ain't doing none of that. I'm leaping. And this is an aggressive leap, because what was happening to me over the last couple of years was aggressive. So I'm going to take an aggressive jump, an aggressive leap, and force myself out of where I am and go into everything that God has for me.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh,
I feel like I'm preaching too much.
receive that. No, you're not. Not at all. Not at all. This is what it's about. Listen, we let the Holy Spirit do his thing. That
Yeah.
I receive that because I feel that way too. Like even in my current state, I'm like, yo, this year just feels too smooth. Like,
But that's okay.
yes, like everything is just happening. Even with, I had a loss. My grandmother passed this month, I mean, last month, and that was my heart. But even with that, God is my comforter, and I feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everything is, I mean, finances, relationships, friendships, everything is just going so smooth. And it's kind of like, what's going to happen next because everything's
Mm-hmm.
going too good. Like you have that feeling like everything's going way too good. What's about to happen next? And I'm like, I'm leaving that mindset like, no, what if everything is just supposed to be like this?
That's it. And that's okay. And
And
God is like, that's okay, daughter. I have you right here on purpose.
everything
Like,
that you've been going through, I have you here and it's your time. It's your time. Everything that you put out, I'm putting it right back into you plus more.
hello. Because
So
we serve on a God who does exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. That means that there's a surplus waiting for us. And it's just like this surplus of peace, yes, that's yours. This surplus of smooth sailing is yours. Like, you don't gotta ask, you don't gotta look and say, is something else come? Like, no, I'm solid in where God has me. If this is the place that He has me and everything is smooth, I'm taking joy in this, because previous years, listen, it wasn't that smooth. It wasn't smooth sailing. It was like the sailboat was on a whole bunch of waves and just jumping up and down, and the water was flooding into the boat, but somehow the boat was still floating. I don't know. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. But no, this is my time to really recognize that God is causing me to live life smoothly and giving me all that I need to really sustain me in my right now season.
yes, yes, for sure. So, one thing I do want to ask, I know you brought up a couple of situations, but what's one situation in particular where, like you said, things weren't so smooth, things were rocky, and God had to like kind of take over and show you, like, girl, I got this. Like,
Yeah.
take you out of this and put me in. Less of you, more of me. Like, talk about a situation.
So I would definitely say at the end of 2022
Mhm.
into 2023, everything, I even got myself a therapist. Okay, because I was like, some may adding up. But I would definitely say there was a situation where every relationship felt as though it was all crumbling to the ground, not just with people, but the relationship that I had with myself. I did not like Ashley.
Wow.
I did not like myself at all. I didn't because it just seemed like everything was around me that was failing. And then I'm like, I'm failing. And it caused me to have this negative view about myself. And it really put me in this position where I'm like, I blame me, but I will hold myself at a higher an accountability, I would say, than I hold people. Even though people may do me wrong, I take more
Yeah, we're way harder on our
responsibility.
way
I
harder.
took far more responsibility, and it caused me to be in this cycle of disdain for myself.
Yeah,
And I showed up as if I did not like myself. I might look cute,
yeah,
but people who know.
yeah,
My friend said to me, like, do you even like yourself? I started bawling. I'm like, sis, you ain't had to do this to me. But I'm like, no, I really do not. I don't like how I'm thinking. I don't like how I'm showing up. I don't like how I'm feeling emotionally and mentally. And I got a therapist and he helped me through some things. And I'm just like, no, these views. And he's like, Ashley, do you recognize who you really are and what you have done? And I'm like, I know that I've done all of this stuff, but I've separated what I've done with who I am. I've separated the two because I'm like, good people can do good stuff all the time and bad people could do stuff good stuff all the time. Like it's just weird. And I'm just like, I equated myself with an extremely bad person because I didn't like how I showed up in the midst of failed relationships and stuff and how emotionally I was invested and I would be emotionally outbursting things. And after I talked to my therapist, I realized that this is something that I actually used to do as a child where I felt like I needed to prove that I was right. So it caused me to really emotionally black out and yell and try to get people to see it from my perspective. And then, but the good thing is, my therapist helped me see that this wasn't just something that was random. It was something that was unaddressed in me as a child that was just showing itself as an adult. But the beautiful thing is that I recognize when meeting with my counselor, but also going through godly counsel and really sitting with people to talk through my thoughts and to really reimagine and to rethink and get free from my own thought patterns was when I was actually able to recognize that, okay, God, you got to have full control because I'm messing this up even more. I'm messing this up, God. I'm sitting here putting this Ashley twang to it and it's just failing. It's failing. And if I keep putting my touch to it or trying to save everybody or whatever the case may be, it's going to fail even worse.
yeah,
But let God do the work. Okay. And I'm in a place now. I'm like, Lord, this is your thing. You do this thing. Because if I do it my way, if I try to do it my own natural understanding and thinking, it's just going to be done halfway. So I refuse to do anything without God, period. And letting Holy Spirit reveal to me and lead me in all things. And I've gotten to a place where I'm so transparent with myself and with everyone around me. I'm just like, no, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. How can we literally create a plan and come up with a plan to do this better? Because I was not transparent. I was fearful of transparency back then. But now I'm open to it. And now I'm open to talk through, even if I'm wrong. Before I was not okay with that. I was not okay with being wrong. But now I'm okay with being wrong because I'm like, I want to be better. So if I'm wrong, let's get better.
yes, yes. All right, my beautiful sister. We talked about so
Mhm.
many different perspectives of peace.
Mhm.
We really covered so much. Like,
Yes. In such a short amount of time, I feel like it was short.
yes, but specifically, I want to ask if, for our listeners, for those who are watching, because, you can listen and watch on YouTube, but for those listening, what is one gem that you would share for them, about who peace comes from,
Mm-hmm.
really? Because as you mentioned earlier, we say, he's my peace, she's my peace. But what if
Mm-hmm.
they're not there to be your peace anymore? So, like, we really need to learn where the peace is centered from.
Yeah. I'm happy you began right there because even from my life's experience, I recognize that people are faulty. And it's not even anything that's against us. It's just that, like, for example, like you said, like when we're in relationships, there's certain sometimes where people are like, oh, she's my peace, he's my peace. Like there was times when I said my dog is my peace. Like I will cuddle with her and I will find like such a serene place. But what happens when Marshmallow is no longer on this journey of life with me? You know, so what then is your peace, Ashley? And then I really recognized on my journey that people cannot be my soul at thought of peace. They
Yeah.
cannot, like, although they give us peace, it's beautiful. We love people, we love community, we find ourselves in community, we get what we need from community, but also recognizing that what happens when all of those voices are shut.
Yeah.
Like even this silence that we just found here, like what happens when that silence is done? I remember when I did not like living on my own when I got my first apartment. I got my first apartment extremely excited, but I had friends stay with me overnight because I could not stand to be alone. I could not stand to be by myself. And I feel like I'm about to open up a totally different can of good worms, gummy worms, not nasty worms. I feel like I'm about to open up a totally different can because what I found was that I was so used to my face being filled with people that I did not know how to be alone and be by myself. And not being, and then I didn't recognize even all of those years of me having anxiety. I literally would have anxiety. Even though I was extremely happy to have my apartment, I would have anxiety at night and I could not sleep by myself. I was hearing stuff. It was weird because I grew up in a house with people who was always there. So to now then be alone, it caused me to be very anxious and all over the place. And even, oh, thank you, Jesus, for bringing this memory back to remembrance. Because when I even look back then and recognize that on my journey, God needed to teach me how to be alone so that I can understand that my peace came from Him and that He was my comforter all of the time. And that my Father, I didn't have to go looking for Him because He was right there the entire time. And while I was by myself, quote unquote, because in reality, I wasn't by myself because I was with God, my Father, and He was with me every step of the way. He was teaching me how to rely on Him and Him alone. And in that space is where we find peace. Like, yes, people are good. I am not against it. I am a community builder. At my church, I'm the director of community engagement. So this is my thing. People are my thing. But there also is a place that we have to get where we recognize that God is our all in all. That although community is an added benefit to us here on earth,
Yeah.
like that is an added benefit. Like as a child of God, like that is an added benefit having community, but also recognizing that God wants us to also recognize that He is what we need to survive. Period. Point blank. Marshmallow, I love her. That's my baby. I cuddle with her. I do all of the things. But at the end of the day, if Marshmallow was my sole place of peace, coming home and looking to her, a dog that can't even talk to me. I wish Marshmallow could talk sometime, but it's okay. She doesn't. You know, I think in my head that she is answering me back, but in reality, she's really just looking at me with her cute puppy dog eyes. But recognizing that Marshmallow will not be here forever. Scripture tells us that heaven and earth will pass away. But there's one thing that will remain the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, and that's God our Father, who wants us to get to know Him. So even when I go back to when I was in my apartment sitting on my bed crying, I did not realize at that point that He's like, you're crying, but cry out for me.
Yeah.
I am your peace. Cry out, look to the hills which cometh your help, because I am your help. I am your peace. I am love. I don't want you to be crying on your bed. I want you to recognize that all that you need is in me. And what I need is in you is the peace that God is, period. That's His definition of God peace. Okay. You know, and if I go back to the definition, is freedom from disruption, right? When you recognize, or disturbance, actually, freedom from disturbance, I recognize that disturbance that I found internally was something that He needed to quiet so that I can recognize that it was Him and Him alone the entire time. The entire time. The disturbance at that time was me. I was the disturbance. And He's saying, daughter, I need you to recognize that you're really not alone. You're not by yourself, that I am here with you. I am here with you. And when you recognize, like, now I have a different level of peace. And even though things might go crazy, I know who I serve and I know who is with me. Yes, my husband is with me and he be rocking out with me all the time. You know what I'm saying? But even he has to know God as his peace on, and I'm not the sole place of it.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to be the sole place of peace. I want God to be the sole place of peace for him, just like he wants God to be the sole place of peace for me. And
Yes.
recognizing that freedom of from disturbance is possible when I recognize that the God that I serve will quiet all of that.
All of it.
That
Oh,
chaos might still happen, but it's not loud and super defined in your life because you recognize who's the one who's winning that battle anyway.
oh my gosh, Ashley. No, literally, soon as you said that, because I've been on my own since I was 19, right? My family moved to Virginia and I decided to stay here in New York. And, when it came to a place of me getting my own place, I was excited, I was happy, but I was sad on the inside because I was used to having my sisters, my mom, like,
Mm-hmm.
used to always being around my family. And
Mm-hmm.
God had to get me to a place where it's like, you have your family, they might be miles away, but you have me. It may not seem like I'm around because right now I'm carrying you, but I'm here.
Oh my gosh, that and oh my gosh, how you gonna just drop that?
I'm so sorry. That's like literally when you said that, I said, oh my God, memory.
I'm carrying you.
I'm carrying you. I'm carrying you. That's why when you look around, you feel like you don't see me, but I am carrying you. I'm getting you through this. You're working 3 jobs right now. It's okay because I'm carrying you through this. I'm
Yes.
through this.
And when
Like,
we recognize how secure we are in his arms, it
yes,
makes everything else minute around us.
literally, literally. And yes, I was definitely that girl. He's my piece. Yep, no. Because when the man's gone, baby girl, okay.
I was out here bugging, hyperventilating in the room because
Yes.
he was gone.
On, what am I gonna do now? He's crumbling. And that's when I had to realize whenever I decide to go into another relationship, I need to realize that they're adding on to my happiness, not the source of
The
my
source of it, they're an add-on, just a nice add-on. That's it.
add on. I am the main piece. You are just an accessory. God is the main piece. You were just an accessory to add on.
Hello.
My partner now, amazing, love him to death. But he can't not be the source of my happiness. He cannot be the source of my peace. Because what about when he's going through his own things and he's not emotionally available to be my peace? Then what? You know?
Then what? Now I gotta sit here and scramble and figure it out. And that's when we end up in trouble.
Yes.
We
Yes.
find ourselves in stuff that we ain't got no business being in.
Yes. But it also helps the relationship because I know I can't be the main source of happiness for you.
For him
And
too.
you know I can't, like vice versa. We know that God is the only one who can truly elevate us to where we need to be, help us mature, help us grow, and help us learn to realize, like, no, it's only you. It's only
You know
you.
what's so funny? You use the word that I'm about to say that this conversation took a very mature turn. It took, not saying it was immature, it's just that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a mature dialogue
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
it will be able to reframe what we think
Hmm.
and who we think people
Hmm.
are in our lives.
Yeah.
So it's really a reframing,
Yeah.
and my hope is that when we're talking this through, that people recognize that, oh man, but it's not condemnation. It's not to say you're doing it the wrong way. This is not that at all. This is saying that there is a better way that you can take. And you
Yeah.
can make a decision right now to change your mind
Change
and
it.
say, okay, I recognize that there's just another way that I can do this. And it's not just for the benefit of you, but it's the
Yeah.
benefit for the people around you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it takes off that pressure of
Uh-huh.
trying to do it all yourself. It
Yeah.
takes off so much pressure that is so unnecessary because that pressure leads to stress. And then the stress leads to anxiety. And then you're just scrambling all over the place, going in a constant cycle. And God is like, baby girl, I'm ready when you are.
I'm ready when that was nice. That was nice how you said that.
Ready when you are. Because sometimes we're waiting on Him and it's really Him waiting on us.
Waiting on us.
Make that
Like,
decision.
oh, that was really nice the way you said that.
Thank you.
That was really nice the way you said that. I know, because it's just like he's saying, come. I'm waiting on you. Come. Just
Come,
come.
come exactly as you are. And
Mhm.
it's okay.
It's okay.
He can
Yes,
handle it.
I can handle it. Yes, it may have been
But
bruised.
maybe your friend can't handle you as the mess that you are. It might be too
Mhm.
much. Your friend might be going through too much right now where they can't take on your
Mhm.
problems. But God
And
can
that's
take on
okay.
any.
And I think we have all of these crazy expectations sometimes,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people that we're connected with. And it's just that maybe this one is not for them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That does not make them less of a friend. It doesn't make them more of a friend. You just have to be able to identify in
Yeah.
real time. I know it's hard to identify in real time because you got all the stuff going on,
Right. Yeah.
but recognize I know for myself, like the things that I've noticed, and it doesn't make somebody less of a friend. Or it might be time to shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be time to shift, and that's okay too. And I
It's
think
true.
sometimes we have a really hard time with being able to make that change, because we're so attached, you
Yeah.
know. But it's
Yeah.
okay to detach and to make that change.
And to make that leap. It's a leap year.
Yeah, we're leaping.
We're leaping. Sometimes when you leap, there's some things you gotta leave behind.
Mhm.
And that's okay too. That is okay too. This was so beautiful. This was
Yes.
such an amazing conversation. I don't know. I'm feeling like part two needs to happen. Like
I'm here for it. I'm just saying,
I gotta
I'm
let
here for a part two.
that one.
Let's schedule a part two. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. I feel
Yes.
like so much more. I feel like
Yes.
we just scratched the surface. I feel like there's so much more
Me too.
that can come from this, and or an elevated version of this conversation. It's just like we go higher and higher. So I'm here for it.
Yes. Let me know in the comments, guys. Even though it's happening, like y'all just gonna add to it, but it's happening. Part two is definitely happening. But just say, Ashley, we want you back. Ashley.
Oh,
But no, this was truly amazing. I just appreciate you so much for taking the time out to come and talk with me on the Go Get Her podcast. And yes, there is so much more because you tapped into something that you said when you started therapy, you realized this was from your childhood. And that's what Go Get Her is about. We're healing from our inner child and we're
mhm.
going after the woman that God created us to be. But a lot of the things that we currently still struggle with is things from our childhood that we weren't aware of.
Yep, or has been unaddressed
Yes,
and hasn't been taught the right way. I will say a lot of things that I attributed emotionally growing into this woman that I am today. I recognize it was just undealt with reactions as a response to childhood trauma. Daddy wasn't there. Like I felt unheard. So I'm not gonna go in just in case you wanted to be a part two.
yeah,
So I could go on and on and on, but I'm telling you, that's something like in therapy, I recognized the little girl Ashley that was still there. That
yeah,
had to go, like we had to put little Ashley to sleep.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Definitely part two. That now we know what part two, what we're gonna tap into with that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, my love, is there anything else that you want to say to the people before we go?
I
Tell
my
them, yes, tell them where to reach you. I'm gonna put it in the description of the video, but yes, definitely tell them where they can follow you, where they can reach you, all those good things.
Yeah, so you can follow me at officially Ashley Britton. I was about to say officiallyashleybritton.com. That's not my website yet. But officially Ashley Britton on Instagram. I do have my website launching next month. That's ashleybritton.com. And I have just launched, actually, by the time that this is shown, I would have launched my first free webinar, my masterclass called Unbecoming Identity Unlocked. And I'm walking women through this masterclass to be able to hone the identity that God called them to. Oftentimes, we have all of these things that literally snuff out who we are, whether that be a procrastination, whether that might be doubt and fear and anxiety, imposter syndrome. There's all of these things that literally squash who we're supposed to be. And what I'm doing through this class is shedding and removing all of that so that the becoming version of ourselves, the version of ourselves can be within eyesight, and now we can go after it. So
I love that. Oh, that's so beautiful.
I'll be doing that class once a month.
Oh, wow. I'll be there.
Oh, hey, bro.
I love that. I love that because I definitely have some identities too that be trying to creep in, and I'm like,
You
no.
know, no, it has to go. This 2024 is not the year to be fighting battles with
Yeah,
within ourselves. I fought too many battles silently for the 3 years that I said I fought these battles. And I know that based off of what God did in me, He literally caused me to emerge like that. Once I abandoned posts, I had to abandon all of these posts that I was sitting at. You know, the version of myself that I thought I was, based off of what people said I was. I was sitting here afraid of the response of man. And it was just all of this extra stuff that was causing me to be in my mind, running over these thoughts over and over. But God freed me from that instantly when I submitted to the freedom from it. And
yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm divorcing this thing. And once that happened, when I unbecame that, I was able to fully become who God called me to be.
This beautiful woman that's sitting here with me today. Whew, look at you. Look at
Ah,
you. But no, I love this. I love you. Thank you so, so much. You have to give me your information so I can, put it in the description for those who want to follow you and just stay up to date with everything that you're doing.
hey, thank you for having me. I'm telling you, this was really an honor, and I had such a joy chatting with you. I was extremely tired from church, but I woke up. I'm
Yeah.
up, as you can see. I'm up now. So yeah, I love it. I love you. Thank you for this time to be able to chat with you and your listeners.
Yes. Yes. Part two coming soon. All right, beautiful. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and we will definitely chat.
Bye.
All right. Bye, girl.